Tech companies like Samsung are beginning to introduce the world's first phones with 5G, which is faster, smarter, and more powerful than our current technology. Chinese tech giant Huawei is a pioneer when it comes to 5G, but the Trump administration considers the company to be a national security threat.
The president tweeted just this morning that he wants the technology in the United States, but he wants it to come from American companies, not China. CBS This Morning co-host Bianca Golodriga spoke to Huawei founder and CEO Ren Zhengfei in his first American TV interview. He says the administration's fears are overblown.
They've
been regarding 5G as the technology at the same level of some other military equipment. 5G is not an atomic bomb.
5G is the latest high-speed mobile innovation, promising to multiply wireless internet speeds and increase coverage.
Now we are rolling out 5G, and soon we'll welcome 6G. And in the future, I said there will be new equipment that is suitable for the United States.
But U.S. intelligence agencies are concerned about Huawei's 5G growth.
It is so much faster, and it allows such a larger data flow that it significantly enhances the capabilities of an intelligence service to steal data.
Former CIA acting director Michael Morell.
5G is going to allow a much larger number of devices to be connected to the internet. When you connect more devices, you create more platforms from which an intelligence service can spy from.
The Trump administration has warned its allies that it may reconsider its military relationships with countries that use Huawei.
We cannot ensure the defense of the West if our allies grow dependent on the East.
Do you view that as a threat?
First of all, I would like to thank them because they are great figures. 5G was not known by common people, but now these great figures are all talking about 5G, and we're becoming more influential and getting more contracts.
I sense a little bit of sarcasm there.
Oh, please tell them. I'm actually thanking them for promoting us.
Despite warnings from the Trump administration, some of our European allies, including Germany and the UK, are reportedly considering allowing Huawei to build their high-speed infrastructure.
It's technologically advanced, it's reliable as all get out, and it's affordable.
Some Americans already rely on Huawei technology.
This is Scobie. We're in the middle of nowhere.
Like Mike Kilgore, who runs a wireless provider servicing more than 11,000 square miles of rural Montana.
We've heard of the security concerns. We've heard of the allegations of connections to the Chinese government, but nobody's ever produced any evidence related to that.
As the Trump administration weighs a ban on all Chinese telecoms in the U.S., Kilgore is worried his company wouldn't survive, leaving his community essentially without service.
If you did not have the ability to dial 911 from a cell phone, I can't, that turns my stomach.
For Ren, despite all the criticism from the administration, he knows his company's future in America is in the president's hands.
For President Trump, I think he is a great president because in a very short period of time, he was able to reduce the tax rate.
You speak very highly of President Trump, yet he is likely to issue an executive order banning your company from doing any business in the United States. How do you square the two?
Well, we have never had many sales in the United States, but we didn't give up our efforts in this country.
And we are now joined by CBS This Morning co-host Bianca Golodriga. So, Bianca, we mentioned the president's tweet this morning, and he says it's, quote, obviously the future, but it's interesting, he tweeted right after your report on CBS This Morning, so that's kind of interesting.
And the timing's a bit suspect, right?
Right, the timing's a bit suspect, but you also visited some of Huawei's plants, and they are leaps and bounds ahead of the United States.
Look, their facility and campus is quite impressive. It's huge. They have about 50,000 employees there. We visited with a few of their scientists, many of whom, by the way, were educated here in the United States. And with regards to 5G, they are very well ahead of most of their competitors. With regards to the United States in particular, there aren't that many competitors left who can make 5G the way Huawei does. There's Cisco, there's Qualcomm. Cisco is expected to roll out 5G in the United States by 2022. Huawei says they can be prepared by 2020 at a much cheaper price. So hence the competition comes into play.
You saw in the president's tweet, he talked about the 5G, even 6G, and not by blocking other companies, but by our, our own development. And I think since we've been talking about 5G, also what we've been talking about is the pushback from citizens who are concerned about putting up, towers so close to their house that, what happens in China is very different than what can happen here. And I wonder if it's even realistic to think that we could somehow develop like a homegrown 5G system that could compete.
Well, it's the two differences between a state-run enterprise, right, and private sectors here in the United States. And so who's going to be first? Companies that get funding directly from the government or companies that compete in a capitalist system. One could argue that there have been security concerns about China and this potential backdoor to the Chinese government with telecom companies for years. The U.S. government and intelligence agencies have been warning about this since at least 2011. The question is, why weren't we better prepared then? Why did we not roll out our own companies to develop this technology sooner and faster? You now see the United States, Secretary of State Pompeo and Vice President Pence spent some time in Europe over the past week asking and perhaps even demanding that our allies not roll out 5G with Huawei or face serious repercussions from the United States, like not partnering for military exercises.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, if other countries say, you know what, we're not afraid of the United States anymore, we are going our own way. The United States, the president's message to the American people is America first. Other countries are going to take the very same attitude. If they can work with Huawei and it enhances their technology infrastructure, it's going to make Huawei more powerful. It will make those other countries more technology. Their technology will become just greater than our capacity.
Well, those countries are saying, look, we understand the risk, and who knows what the United States intelligence agency shared with them, right? All of this is classified, so we have not seen a smoking gun with regards to any backdoor officially being made clear between telecom companies in China and the government. One can assume that U.S. intelligence shared some information with our allies, to which our allies, many of them the UK, Germany, and now even New Zealand, are saying not so fast. We appreciate you warning us, but we can at least at this point mitigate that risk. The U.S., on the other hand, you can understand their concerns if in fact they do believe there is a backdoor. Sharing technology and sharing military technology with these allies could jeopardize the U.S. in their opinion.
The CEO did not seem bothered by almost any of the questions you asked. And
I know,
you asked him some tough questions.
And the thing is, I can't understand what he's saying, so he starts every response with a laugh.
Yeah,
right? Are you laughing at me? I don't know what you're talking about. But no, look, he, especially for someone who had his first interview with a Western or an American journalist, seemed very comfortable with his responses. The company continues to grow. It's $100 billion in revenue last year. He's expecting to see 20% growth next year, and that's without doing much business in the United States, less than 1%. So he would love to have business in the United States. Clearly from this interview, off camera, he said that he would love to invite President Trump to his headquarters there and to tour the facility just like I had a tour, and said would love to have business with the United States, and said he'd always been fond of the United States for its openness. His younger daughter's a student at Harvard University. So if it were up to him, I think he would be in the United States. The question is, do we feel that they are a security threat, or do we feel that there is an area where we could work with them on any sort of technology going forward?
So
really fascinating discussion, fascinating interview with the CEO. Bianna, thanks for sharing.
Thank you. Thanks for having me 2 days in a row.
Yeah.
Keep coming. Keep coming by anytime. We'd love to have you.